So I think we
We're
we
live.
are we are live. Yes. Hello,
Yes.
Maria.
Hi,
Hello.
Alex. How are you?
Nice. I'm very good in this new episode of Lead and Sell. So before we start with today's topic, let me say that we had invited a very known international coach, but last second he couldn't make it. So it was something that he couldn't attend. He canceled yesterday, so we had to change a little bit the plan, and we chose to talk, me and you, today about the topic that I think it's a very interesting one. So why ghosting is bad for business? Maria, it was your idea, so tell us, because I'm not a native English speaker. At the beginning I wasn't sure what ghosting is.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think it comes originally probably from the dating world at the beginning originally, and it means basically that when somebody just stops all communication, someone with who you were having a communication suddenly stops it and doesn't give any reason, never comes back to you, disappears, vanishes.
Okay.
And I think in the dating world, it was something that happens a lot. And I think with the social media world, even more. But it's also happening more and more in business. And I thought it would be an interesting topic to discuss the different effects it has, why it's happening, and what you could actually do to prevent it if you're on the receiving end of the ghosting.
Yes, I've been too many times on the receiving end of ghosting. So too many times I had conversations that led nowhere, that they disappeared with apparently no reason. And well, I think there are many reasons why that is the case. So I think first of all, to start with, because I'm 54, Maria, so I was born in 1969, before the internet era.
Yeah.
So before the internet era, people used to have a face-to-face communication, and when you have a face-to-face communication, through reasons of politeness, of fear, I don't know. I think it's a mixture of a variety of many reasons. They were more careful on what they said.
Mhm.
Now, in this online world that we live, it simplifies a lot many things. However, it also makes the relationship between people less less strong,
Yeah.
because you are one button, one click away from just disappearing.
Yeah.
And I think that is a major factor of people behaving like that and simply disappearing.
Yeah, I think it also has to do with you have much more choice now, right? Because of the internet, whether it's choosing a contractor or a vendor or an employee, there's so many more opportunities to find these people. And what's interesting, I think, in the business world, in the HR world, in recruitment, it used to be very, very common. I personally experienced it where you send in your CV to an organization and you just get ghosted. You never get an answer, or you
Yes.
even go to an you might even go to an interview or even several interviews, and then suddenly nobody comes back to you to tell you you got it, you did well, or you're rejected. So you're just sitting there waiting, waiting, waiting. And that's something big companies used to do a lot, and that was you know a normal way to do business. I'm not saying it's unacceptable. I think it's appalling. But what's happening now, interestingly enough, as the market has changed, it's now the employees that are coming in for several interviews in different companies and then just ghost them, or even verbally accept a role and just never come in. And so that seems to be happening a lot. And so the world is, it's sort of backlashed. And I think it's just become something that people do. And I don't know where it's come from. And I definitely understand employee employer when you've been on the receiving end of it, that you feel like you could do it. It was definitely not something I felt I could do in my days, but it's something that's happening a lot.
Yes, but I find that is because that's somehow related to ghosting. What I noticed,
Hmm?
and the biggest challenge in our business, is the loyalty, and I speak about the loyalty not only from the freelancers to us, but also the loyalty of the clients to us. So everybody's more unloyal, and everybody wants to escape easier. And everybody, because as you said, you have all these options, then there is the tendency to, okay, so now we are trying that, we are not as successful as we guessed we're going to be within, I don't know, 3 days, a week, and then, okay, let's shift now the whole policy and let's start targeting this industry, for example. So all these changes, this not be consistent. Or in the HR sector, so you send your CV, no one replies, or you get an automated response that is so much out of the can that then you are a human being. How many times you're going to do that?
Yeah.
And then you're going to also change your attitude, and you're going to start also sending, like shooting the spaghetti cannon to potential employers and whatever sticks.
Yeah, I think there's something also about people, opting out of a normal civil conversation because they feel uncomfortable. And it's interesting. I don't know, Simon Sinek, I don't know if you follow him at all. He talks about that, he talks about it specifically with the millennials and the Gen Z. But I don't think that it's only them, because I'm seeing it with other people too. But he's talking about these people who've grown up with a mobile phone, and most of their communication is text, WhatsApp, Snapchat, you name it. But like the face-to-face conversation, they don't learn how to have confrontational conversations and being okay with it. So he talks about a lot of people that rather than going to their boss and asking for a raise, they would prefer to leave the company because they don't want to have that uncomfortable situation where the boss might say, actually, you're not ready for that. And so it seems to be happening in lots of different areas. And I don't think it's okay, personally.
It is absolutely not okay. And I encounter that on a daily basis. I see so much opportunity getting lost. I see so many people with no backbone on positions to take decisions that, it's not only enough that you have a good degree from a good university. It's also a matter of character, on who you are as a person. And you need to have a backbone. If you are in a big corporation, and my brief, let's say, experience in big corporations proved what I knew also from before, is people that are constantly trying to navigate through diplomacy and not hurting him or not saying that, or being likable to the one that is going to promote them. If you have that mentality, you are not a leader, you are a follower. And a person like that is not going to choose somebody that is good for the company, rather than the one that is going to serve his agenda, which is maintain his position and forward his career higher within this organization. So it really hurts me to see lost opportunities because of the lack of a strong character of people.
Yeah, I feel like I don't understand it, because I think we're all adults. We can have conversations. We can agree to disagree. We can, disagree and still part without it being in the drama. And I think it's not okay to ghost, because on several levels, I feel it's disrespectful. It's disrespectful.
It's very disrespectful
towards the time that the person might spend. Like, if you're asking a vendor or a contractor to do some work and then you ghost them, and they're like, they've done work, maybe they've put a proposal together and sent you an RPF, or they're then chasing you. I mean, the time that person is spending is she's not spending, or they're not spending it on their business with clients that maybe would be interested in paying. So there's a lack of respect for the working person. It's time consuming also. If you don't want to do something, if you've changed your mind, or if you you don't want to work with that person anymore, just send them in a message. If you can't sell it to them face to face, we have so many ways of communicating nowadays. It's not complicated. Just send a message. At least everybody knows where they stand, right? And you won't be on the receiving end of all these messages that you're constantly getting. I mean, as you said, it affects your reputation, right? I mean, if you start having a reputation of somebody who just ghosts your suppliers or your clients, or it's really not good, and you burn bridges. You set a bad example as a leader. You were saying, if you're a leader, the example you're setting for your team is really bad too. So there's all these reasons why it's just really bad for business to ghost anybody, and I just think it's plain rude, personally.
Yes, but besides of the rudeness, I mean, if you are a true leader, you're not going to ghost no one, and you're going to at least answer.
Yeah.
And I like to answer also face to face. I always open my camera. The reason why I open my camera is that I want the people to see with whom they are talking. I don't have a fake background. I have a real background so that they see where I stand and where I am. And I always intend, because it's I see it as part of I would be ashamed to hide myself when I say the bad news, let's say, to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to be present and look them in the eye to say the bad news. So
it's the right thing to do.
But I think a lot of people, they what I notice is a lot of people are getting trapped, and the trap is this. So they want to do business with you, and they start to brag about their company, the money they make, their expectations. But in life, there are some basic columns. Okay, that's a long discussion that we can have in some point. So one of the columns, it's where all the nonsense stops, is money. Okay, so when you send the offer with the financial proposal, where that's the deal, that's how much money you have to pay, then everybody, as you say, crickets, they disappear.
Yeah, I think one way of avoiding that is having that conversation. Obviously there's a lot of things you can't do. So there's a lot of things out of your control in the ghosting situation, but there are a few safeguards you can put in place, right? And in the situation as you just talked about, is ideally you want to get on the phone to have that conversation, or you face to face with that, or online, or have a conversation with that person in real life, and at that moment talk about anything that you think might be uncomfortable in that conversation, or that might be a blocker. And obviously finances is one of the biggest blockers, right? So you should put that on the table. You should absolutely not just send it out on an email on its own. You have to have had that conversation, make sure the person has acknowledged it, right? It doesn't mean that they're not going to change their mind afterwards, but you're already putting yourself in front of a possible objection, and you have an opportunity to answer to it, right?
Yes, but that is something that not too many do. So they have a perception of themselves. They have a perception of their business. They tend to feel the big boys on the block. But when it comes, so everything collapses when the bill comes. So, and that is something that I noticed through all my professional experience.
So you're talking about you've done the work, and then they get the bill that you'd agreed on, and then they're ghosting you, right? Is that the situation you're talking about?
So I am talking about, you have a decent conversation with somebody, you agree, you send the offer with the amount that needs to be paid every month, and then they disappear. Yeah. Why they disappear? Yeah. The answer is because they don't have the money to pay you. If now they have the money, if they don't think your service is good, that's a different story. Okay, that can also happen. So let's don't push everything to the receiving, to the client. But I can tell you, I can sense that 80% of the times it's not your service, it's that they don't have the money to pay. They want, but they cannot afford it.
Yeah, in that case, they shouldn't in the first place sign up
And
for it.
I'm,
But
I'm, I'm telling you that because I am Greek and I have lived in Greece and I have lived in Germany and I'm multicultural. And I don't want to generalize, but if I compare Greece and Germany, in Germany, if they tell you something, you can count with that. You can, that is what they say.
yeah,
In Greece,
definitely each country has their culture, right? Yeah, it's
it's also
different.
cultural. In Greece, in Italy, they have a big mouth. They like to talk a lot and to brag a lot. And you think, wow, these guys are. But when it comes to reality,
Mm,
they crickets. You
mm.
know, you don't hear from them anymore.
Well,
So
I've seen also a lot of, a lot of entrepreneurs and freelancers struggling because they sign up with a sometimes, and often it's the big corporations. They sign up with a big company, they agree, and often these people don't want to pay up front. And when it comes to the moment to paying the bill, they have to chase and chase and chase. And the effect it has on those businesses, small businesses, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, or freelancers is huge, and these big businesses are holding back cash that could help, and that's an issue also, I think, is, and it's very I read about it and I speak to people about it very often, so it's something that's quite répandu.
yes, because that's the policy that some persons take in these big businesses.
Yeah,
They don't care about the other person in the business that has the collaboration with you because it's not his fault. This delay on payment comes from.
yeah, goes to finance.
Exactly. So this guy takes the decision. He
Yeah,
doesn't have to deal with you. He doesn't care. And the other person needs to apologize to you for not
yeah,
getting for you not getting your money, which for you as a small business, it can really kneel you down and break you if you have
yeah.
an agreement to be paid.
Some people have, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that is also very dirty because I can forgive somebody that is generally struggling to pay. So
Yeah,
I have the understanding.
yeah,
But if you are a big corporation and you delay purposely the payment, that's unethical.
yeah. No, totally, it's unethical. And so, what can we do to avoid being ghosted? Do you have any
I have some. I have some.
tips?
I have some tips and suggestions. So
Go ahead.
the first tip that I have is avoid speaking with industries or with geographical locations where you sense it's not going to be a business. If you sense they can, it's very difficult for certain countries to have the budget to be able to pay your services as you are based in Europe. So that is the first thing to consider, and don't target those countries or industries. A second thing is, for me, what is very important is to speak with the proper decision maker, to understand who the proper decision maker is. I love to speak with business owners. I love to speak with people that own companies. Of course, if you have a bigger corporation, you don't have this scenario, but it's a matter of character, of the real person behind. The manager, the C-level executive, he can be very well respected within his organization. It doesn't stop to be an employee of a company. And I don't like to speak with employees of companies, to be frank. So we have an issue there.
Yeah.
Okay, so because they take things on the light hand. So those are two tips that come from my side. I don't know what would you
Yeah,
recommend?
I agree. I think definitely first you want to qualify, as you said, you want to qualify your clients.
Yes.
So make sure that you have something in place that whether if you're a freelancer or an entrepreneur, um, and people can call you directly, make sure you have some qualifying questions to make them jump through a little hoop so that they get to that call, so that not everybody can just get on a call with you and make you lose your time. I think also it's important to build rapport and relationship with that person, not go straight into business. So get to know them, because when you build relationship and you start sharing some personal connections, maybe, and creating that personal connections, people want to reciprocate. Sorry, I'm getting stuck on words, and so that will also make it harder for the person to ignore you afterwards. And then another thing, well, if you can, is asking for either upfront payment or a deposit. That will mitigate your risks as much as you can. I think that's important, definitely. And yeah, and then if you've already started the business and you're needing to get something from them, it's like there's not much you can do apart from chasing them up to a certain point. So I think you need to create boundaries around. I personally have like I decide it's going to be 3 emails, not more. And after that third email, my last email is like, okay, if I don't hear back from you, I'm just going to assume that you're not going any further. And that's fine with me. I mean, I'm not going to lose any more time on this, right?
Yes.
And I think, and your first few emails, you want them to be positive, because people can have reasons maybe why they're ghosting you. There can be some personal reasons, something might have happened. So you have to, not go straight in like, why have you not answered me? I think there has to be some understanding that people have busy lives, and they're probably bombarded with lots of things. And yeah, and then if that person doesn't get back to you, I would definitely not public shame them. I've seen people do that, like go online and say, oh, this person, da da da.
Of course
I
not.
think that reflects very badly on you. So definitely not something to do. I think you just make a decision, like write this person off. You're never going to do business with them, and move on, because that's what you can control. So focus on what you can control, and
Of course.
and move forward.
So let me go in 2 points that you said, because you hit the nail on the head. You see, I try to use this English expression, so I'm trying to pick up some good ones. So
Very
I
good.
like this one very good. So have this conversation. So the tougher the conversation it is, and the more difficult the person is, the more interest he has. So the person that is very lighthearted to say, yes, we like it, so most of I'm more reluctant with those guys that are very easygoing. So that is one thing. The upfront payment, that is a must. I always ask for the upfront payment. The person that doesn't pay you doesn't respect you. There should be a payment there. And then I would say, okay, obviously public shaming, that's out of question. It's something that I would never do. I mean, it's we want to have a business. I wouldn't even send 3 emails. I send 2 emails. We have also to assume that it maybe something happened. Okay.
Yeah.
It can be truly the case. I mean, we are humans. Maybe something happened. Okay. So send an email. If he doesn't respond, send a second email. And if he doesn't respond, close it, and put also on your offer an ending date. So this offer is valid till
True. Yes. Yeah.
for 2 weeks or for
Exactly.
1 month, so that it has a
Very
start
important.
and an end. And let me say one last thing. So in sales, that is a thing that a lot of people are not aware. There are 2 scenarios. Either you win the sale or you lose the sale. There is nothing in between. Okay, so there is nothing. It stays. It cannot. Something it cannot stay open forever. Okay, it should stay open for some time. Maybe there are some reasons. Maybe you're gonna get an answer. We can't now, but get back to me in 6 months, which is fine. Okay, but you should try to close the sale or end it. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, and done.
No, great. Yeah, no, that's a very good point. I actually added recently in both my contract, I have an e-contract, and in my invoice, the invoice I always had an immediate payment, but in my contract I have a 7-day limit to sign the contract, and then that's it. The contract, you can't, it leaves your inbox. So like that, we all don't lose time.
Of course, absolutely. There should be urgency. People should pay, and yes, it's also a cultural thing. Things, unfortunately, are getting worse. I sound like an old guy now. I will complain about the new generation. So
Yeah.
time flies. I was at the new generation some years ago. Now I feel more close to the older generation. But if you meet simple people, you have a more straightforward communication. That's the way it should be, because too much politics and too much double thoughts and diplomacy is not my game.
Yeah, no, agreed. Okay, so to recap, ghosting is bad for business.
Yes,
Don't do it.
absolutely.
And if you're a victim, to try and put some safeguards in place to avoid being victim of it. But then if you are, don't take it personally. Don't lose too much time on it and move on, right?
Exactly. Move on. It's going to continue happening. Try to put some boundaries to reduce, so that you don't spend time with for no reason. You don't lose your time. And I reduced these things by a lot by choosing with whom I speak. That's also the reason why on my webpage there's a contact us form and not a direct. You cannot directly book a meeting. So first you need to contact me, and I will contact you back if I see there is an opportunity. If there is not an opportunity, again, you're going to receive an email from me saying that probably is not a good fit.
Yeah. And I think the what I just mentioned about not taking it personally is important too, because I think we tend to, well, we don't like rejection, right? who likes it?
No
So,
one likes rejection.
but I think it's about acknowledging that a lot is going on in the world, and there can be millions of reasons why someone has decided not to work with you, and most of them are probably nothing to do with you. So I think it's important, especially I think for new business owners, because people are starting in the business, it's important that they hear that it's not to not take this personally, and to, I think it's important to reflect, maybe like, what could I have done better? What could I have done better on that call? Is there anything that I could have done differently? Or was there any signs that I should have been on the look for it? But I don't think it's good to dwell too much on the past. I think it's important to learn from our mistakes, or learn from a situation and move on.
Not everybody's going to become your client, Maria.
No, thank God. Don't have enough time.
Second thing, maybe they don't like you personally, but that's also fine.
But that's good. You don't want to work with somebody who you don't have a connection with,
exactly.
right?
It's right not to like you, so that's also fine. So what regards the rejection, because I hear that from a lot of people. So, you're going to expose yourself if you do that, or you can do nothing. Stay back, stay absent. Don't live life. Put stamps in envelopes. You're never going to get rejected. So if you want to do things, people are going to reject you. And the more, if you are not famous, like we are not famous, the more rejected you are going to be, because people they want to have the superstar to magically solve their problems.
I think it's taking, stepping outside your comfort zone and doing things that are a bit scary and risky. That's when you grow. That's when you learn a lot. And people who tend to tell you, oh, why are you doing this? It's often it's their own fears that they're reflecting on you. So it's important to not let that.
What can go wrong? Some people are not going to like you anyway. So
I think we totally left the ghosting subject. We went off on the personal.
It's also related with the ghosting. It's also related.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, because it affects you personally, obviously.
Of course. So go for that, and you're gonna be ghosted. There's nothing that you can do. I'm okay with that. I sleep good in the night. Not a problem.
Yeah, I do think I truly believe, and that's something I personally do. Being responsive to people is something that will set you apart from other businesses. And I can tell you from huge businesses, because I often have situations with very big businesses that just don't answer emails, or they don't answer them in a timely way. And you, as a business owner, if you're able to do that, if you're able to be responsive to your clients in a timely manner, in a professional manner, you're setting yourself, the bar is not that high, I believe. So you're setting yourself up there. So it's definitely really important to do that. It's not complicated. It's not something difficult to do. Everybody can do it. So it's something really easy and simple that you can do to really set yourself apart and in front of your clients to give them an excellent service.
And these little responses are the responses that they make the difference. So
Yeah.
and many people don't realize that. So
it builds a relationship.
You send, let's say, 1,000 messages, 1,000 emails, and you get like 10 responses. That's the ratio. And those guys communicate with them in the proper way, and you're going to generate business.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay. Words of the end, Alex. Do you have any words of wisdom?
Words of the end is go for it and try to put some boundaries so that you don't waste your time, so that you don't speak with everybody. Choose with whom you're going to speak, and you are going to be ghosted. That's guaranteed. But you're going to be also
Be ready. Be ready to be ghosted, but don't take it personally.
Don't take it personally. It happens.
Cool. Okay, that was an interesting conversation. Thanks,
It was
Alex.
a very interesting conversation. Yes.
So in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, yes. Super. Thank you.
Guys.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you. Nice
Bye.
talking.